Good evening, everyone. We'll bring tonight's city council meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there a motion on tonight's agenda?
I'll make a motion to adopt tonight's agenda.
Second.
Motion made in second discussion. Any discussion? Hearing none to the motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. Presentations, our 2021 audit presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The 2021 annual financial report has been prepared, audited, and is presented for your review and approval in your packets. Abdo Myers, the city's auditor, will present the report to council. Upon completion of the city auditor's report, staff recommends adoption of Resolution 2022-32, accepting the 2021 annual financial report for operations and activities of the city of East Bethel for the fiscal year 2021, and direction to submit the report to the state auditor. Brad Faldesek with Abdo Myers will do the presentation.
Thank you, Jack.
Evening.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. We did change our name to just Abdo.
Thank you.
So we are a little shorter now, but what, Jack, were you gonna bring a
Yeah,
presentation?
I can do it. Mike's gonna hook his up here.
Okay. So you should have the three documents in your packet. One was the audit report, financial statements themselves, which includes our opinion letter. We have the management communications in there. It's just standard communication that we're required to provide you. And then the presentation. So I'll go through the presentation tonight. The presentation is just a summary of what's in the financials, and
That's me.
we'll get there in
Yeah,
one
I can
second.
do mine.
All right, so what we'll go through is I'll give you talk about our opinion and our responsibilities in performing the audit, the general fund results, other governmental fund results, enterprise funds, your water, sewer, and ice arena, and then key performance indicators where we compare certain ratios in your city compared to other cities of similar size throughout the state of Minnesota. So the results, audit results. So our auditor's opinion, we're issuing an unmodified or a clean opinion on your financial statements. So that's saying that we believe what's presented in the financials is materially accurate and presented in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. To arrive at that opinion, we'll look through your internal controls. We'll look through the higher dollar transactions, make sure they're coded properly. We'll confirm things with the state of Minnesota, seeing what they sent you, make sure that's coded properly. Things with the county, they sending you tax statements, settlements, and assessments, so make sure those are coded in the right funds. So we'll do a number of different things to arrive at our opinion, and again, we're issuing an unmodified or a clean opinion. The state auditor requires us to go through a series of checklists as well as part of our financial statement audit. There's specific state statutes they want us to test while we're doing our audit, so we'll go through those though as well, and issue Minnesotan compliance letter, which is in your financial statements as well at the back of it, and we didn't find any non-compliance with those tests either this year, so that was a clean report. Additional report we had to do this year was a single audit report. This was a compliance report done on federal expenditures. If you spend more than $750,000 of federal money in a calendar year, you're required to have specific compliance requirements done on those expenditures. So you did receive the $1.3 million of ARPA funding last year that you spent on your sewer project. So we did do the compliance tests over that program and are not reporting any non-compliance there as well. So clean report related to ARPA, or related to the single audit as well, the federal expenditures. So nice job to staff, Mike and his staff, and everybody at the city for having clean reports all around. Now we'll get into the results. So this chart looks at your end of year fund balance, compares it to your following year's budget in your general fund. You do have a fund balance policy to keep that above 40%. So over the years, you can see the yellow line is where your actual fund balance end of the year, and then the percentage next to it is that percent of the following year's budget. So you've stayed right in that mid-50s range over the 5 years presented here. You can see your budget has steadily inclined. So you have steadily increased your budget to stay within that, right around that 55%. Next slide is your general fund results, your actuals compared to your budgeted numbers. So the budgets are on the first column, then your actuals in the middle, and then the variances on the end there. So you can see your revenues budgeted just over $6 million, came in at 6.2 million, so about $250,000 over what you budgeted. Majority of that related to building permits, about 100,000 in building permits, and then another 60,000 in taxes. So, and then there was some various other things as well, but those are the bigger ones. Expenditures were about $260,000 under budget, so a lot of that was, about 100,000 was in the Public Works Street Department. Then on the transfers, you budgeted $615,000 transfers, you transferred out $1.1 million of transfers, and $531,000 of that was transferred to debt funds to pay off a couple bonds this past year too, so save yourself some interest. So overall had about a break-even fund balance in the general fund with a $13,000 decrease to finish at $3.4 million. Now we got some charts that just take a look at where your revenues and expenditures are coming from. First one is your revenues. You can see, I think obviously you all know that majority of your revenues that support your general fund from taxes, and those have steadily increased over the years with tax levy increases. Intergovernmental hit a bump there in 2020. That was the CARES money that came in that year. So that was a bump, but 2021, now you're close to where you were in 2019. Charges for services have stayed steadily increased, and then other kind of fluctuates. But again, majority is your taxes. Expenditures, general government, public safety, public works. You can see general government has stayed fairly consistent, had a jump in 2020. That might maybe had to do with some CARES money there as well. Again with public safety, had some CARES dollars in 2020. So you had to spend that money by November. What you got last year, you had to spend it by November 15th. So you had to spend on those categories. Then public works stayed pretty consistent, culture and rec consistent, and then other, that includes the transfers. That'd be that jump in 2021 is those additional transfers that would transferred out. Some of your other funds, your capital project funds, these are the funds that you're putting money aside for your projects or equipment purchases. So your two major funds, the Street Capital and Sandhill Parkway. You can see the Sandhill Parkway ended with almost a $2 million deficit in that fund as far for fund balance. That is related to, you do have cash in the fund. The deficit comes from some unearned revenue that you've received the cash, you just can't recognize it as revenue yet. So it's about 2.1 million. Some of it's ARPA dollars. It's the second half of your ARPA, 657,000 of the second half of ARPA you'll receive this year. And the other is MSAA that hasn't been allocated by legislature yet, but they let you borrow it in advance. So that fund should be made whole once you recognize both those revenues. Your municipal state aid street fund had a $600,000 decrease this year. I believe that was the Durant Street project related to that project this year, so just spending down those dollars. Those are primarily the major changes there with the project funds. The next set of funds is your special revenue funds. Here you have your recycling, HRA, and EDA funds. These funds are set aside as special revenue because they're either restricted or have a restricted or committed revenue source coming into them. So these are the three funds that qualify for that. And what we look for in these is, are you generating enough revenues to support the expenditures in these funds? So each of these funds have positive fund balances and have just slight changes from the previous year. So nothing real concerning here, or really to point out. Next slide is your debt service funds. You have two governmental debt service or debt bonds outstanding. One's $11 million, one almost $5 million, so a total of almost $16 million of bonds outstanding in your governmental funds. What we look at here is, are you generating enough support to pay these bonds? Your cash at the end of the year is $510,000 and $414,000 respectively there, and your total assets are a little bit higher than that because you have some assessments receivable in there. as well. So, and we just have your debt service requirements through 2031, so. And these two bonds mature in 2040, so you have quite a few years left on these bonds, but right now they're have sufficient support or reserves. Then we get into your water funds, so that your enterprise funds, your next three sides would be your water, sewer, and ice arena. So here is just a cash flow analysis of your enterprise. So each one of these charts can be the same. On the top chart, we look at your operating revenues, which are the ones in that darker orange color, compared to your operating expenditures, which are in that yellowish color. So want to make sure that your revenues are meeting your expenditures. And then at the bottom, you have your cash balances, which have steadily been increasing from your low in 2018 of $119,000. So you built that up over the years to just over $1 million. Sewer fund, same story here. The one thing added to that top chart is that black part of the expenditures, and that's your debt service payments for your water fund or your sewer fund. So here again, we want to make sure your operating revenues cover both your operating expenses and your debt service requirements for the year. And you have in the last 2 years. I think 2019 probably had additional payment to pay off a bond there again, but each of the years you've been generating enough to support both of those. And again, you can see that on the bottom with your cash increases and cash reserves in the sewer fund. Ice arena fund. This one pretty much has been break even as far as revenues and expenditures. Just right around $200,000. You did have about a $9,000 increase in fund balance and cash balance this year in the ice arena fund. So the black line and the previous two charts, that was a minimum reserve that we wouldn't want you to see go below. And with ice arena fund, it's 50% of operating costs. So which is about 6 months reserve with your ice arena fund. So you're well over above that minimum reserve. Then we have the internal service fund. So these are your equipment replacement fund and compensated absences fund. The equipment replacement has the majority of the funds in the internal service funds, and these are just a kind of a central place where you buy a lot of your equipment type purchases. So has been steadily increasing the reserves in this fund for future capital. Then we get just looking at the whole city of cash balance wise, $8.2 million of total cash in 2019. Finished this year at $9.8 million of cash. So down slightly from last year where you're at 9.9. But as you can see how it's broken down in the types of, or where your cash is, the capital is, the capital piece, that yellow, is where it really decreased from prior year. And again, a lot of that was related to the Durant Street project. We spent down fund balance about $600,000. Now we get into the comparisons with other cities. So your class 3 city, which is 10,000 to 20,000 in population. So cities across the state are in that category. So that's the darker orange, and then cities in Anoka County are in the lighter, and then your city is the black line at the top. So tax rates, you're slightly below your peers in this category as far as what your overall tax rate is. And just a general comment for all of these, there's a lot of variables in the peer groups. So it's nice to compare yourself to others, but certainly look at the trend in your city to see if it's going a positive trend or a negative trend. Here your tax rates have steadily been decreasing, so typically that would be seen as a positive trend over the last 5 years that are presented. Taxes per capita, that stayed pretty steady. You have a slight increase in 2021. Again, you collected some additional tax revenues this past year too. So, but that may fluctuate as well, but still slightly lower than where your peer group is in that category as well. Then the debt, your long-term debt per capita. So a lot of these are just per capita. You're higher than other cities in Anoka County at almost 1.4 or $1,400 per resident as far as outstanding debt. Anoka County is at just over $1,100, and then other class 3 cities across the state are at $1,900. So definitely quite a bit lower than other cities of similar size throughout the state. Then the debt service expenditures as a percent of total, you're at that 22%, Others in Anoka are at just under 11%, and across the state are at 13%. So slightly higher as far as what you're paying, as far as your overall expenditures, how much of it is debt. Then the last two charts are the current expenditures per capita and the capital expenditures per capita. So the current expenditures is just looking at your general operations, your day-to-day type expenditures, and comparing that to others, again, with your two peer groups. So certainly yours is the black bar in each one of these categories, and as far as day-to-day type expenditures, you're quite a bit lower than both of your peer groups in this category. Capital, that's going to fluctuate from year to year. Had a lot going on in 2021. You can see your bar is quite a bit higher than it has been in the previous years. We don't have the data yet for the peers, but certainly that's going to fluctuate. But it's nice to see where others are spending their dollars as well. And that is all I have for you. So I certainly take any questions on any of that, or you can, if you saw anything in the financials you have questions about as you're reading them.
Any questions tonight? It's another good report. I mean, it's always the last couple charts that I always look to see, and that is the per capita spending. And you know, we can talk about our taxes and what our tax rates are, but you know, we're delivering services at a really competitive rate to our residents. So it's good to see it continues. So
I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution 2022-32, accepting the 2021 annual financial report for operations and activities of the City of East Bethel for fiscal year 2021, and submit the report to the state auditor.
I'll second.
motion made in second. Discussion. Hearing none. To the motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes.
All right,
And as a
thanks.
side note, congratulations and thank you to our staff.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Thank you.
Item 4B, our sheriff's report. Lieutenant Peters.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Derek Peters. I'm one of our patrol lieutenants in the patrol division. I'm happy to say April was actually our slowest month, second only that of January. So we were at a total of 433 calls for service. Deputies responded to 6 thefts, 1 assault, and 1 damage to property. Deputies made a total of 4 custodial arrests, and their traffic enforcement efforts resulted in the issuance of 24 traffic citations on our roads. A few of our notable calls this past month included a fire on 4/1 of 2022. Deputy Wickland and the on-duty deputies responded to a structure fire in the 23200 block of Nassau Court Northeast. On arrival, Deputy Wickland determined that no one was inside of the home. He spoke with a homeowner who was actively spraying the rear of his house with a garden hose. The homeowner reported that a cigarette he had been smoking may have caused the fire. Deputy Wickland assisted in containing the spread of the fire and assisted East Bethel Fire as needed. On the 5th, April 5th, Deputy Mo Broughton was traveling southbound on Highway 65 from Viking Boulevard Northeast and ran a license plate on a silver passenger car. That registered owner of the vehicle showed a revoked driver's license status and a domestic abuse no contact order that was out against that registered owner. Deputy Mo Broughton noticed a female slouching in the front passenger seat and believed that the male was in violation of the domestic abuse no contact order. Deputy Mo Broughton attempted to stop that vehicle around Highway 65 and 178th Avenue Northeast. The vehicle initially pulled over, and as Deputy Mo Broughton made his approach along the driver's side of that vehicle, the driver then fled at a high rate of speed. For safety reasons, Deputy Mo Broughton decided to not pursue the vehicle. By using some of our state records that we have available to us in the squad car, he was able to confirm that the male that fled was positively identified as the male that had that domestic abuse no contact order out against that female. So there was a violation there that Deputy Mo Broughton had witnessed in plain view. And those charges are pending. So we discontinued the pursuit for safety reasons, but ultimately charges will be filed later on, or they have been at this point, and those folks will have to answer to that later on. On April 8th, one of our deputies was stopped on Highway 65 and 233rd Avenue Northeast with emergency lights activated, providing traffic safety for another motor vehicle crash. Our deputy was seated inside of the patrol car, which was parked on the far left side of the roadway. While stopped there, our deputy was rear-ended at high speed by a passing motorist. Our deputy was able to air the crash over the radio and began providing first aid and requested additional resources to the location. Fortunately, both the driver and our deputy sustained minor injuries as a result of this crash, and both are expected to fully recover. The Minnesota State Patrol responded to right the crash in this instance. On April 18th, Deputy Aldrink was dispatched a phone call in the 22400 block of Buchanan Street Northeast on a theft report. Upon contact with the reporting party, he reported that sometime overnight somebody had broken into his truck and broke out the passenger side window and stole a case of beer. Fortunately, the reporting party's wallet was left inside along with some lottery tickets, so none of that was disturbed. Deputy Aldrink advised the reporting party to call back if he finds anything else missing. Finally, on 4/19 of this year at 8:15, Deputy Madsen was on patrol at Quincy and 221st Avenue Northeast in our city. He witnessed a red motorcycle driving with no rear taillights. Deputy Madsen recognized this driver as someone who had an active gross misdemeanor warrant out of Iceni County. As the vehicle pulled into a nearby residence, two occupants got off of the motorcycle and began walking away quickly. Deputy Madsen located the passenger of this motorcycle hiding behind a camper in this residence and questioned them on where the driver had gone to. The passenger advised that the driver fled on foot east through the backyard of this particular residence. Deputies correctly identified the driver as the male who did have the active warrant for his arrest and ended up calling his cell phone. The male agreed to return to the residence and eventually turned himself in without incident. The male was transported to the Anoka County Jail and booked on the outstanding warrant. So, as I do most months, I do a brief comparative analysis of what we've been seeing here between the winter and the spring months. And as the weather has gotten a lot warmer, we keep seeing those scam calls again that I think I mentioned just about every month. But we have seen an increase in the foot traffic in our communities as well as the traffic on our roadways. So as a good reminder to everybody, please slow down. If you see an emergency vehicle pulled over to the right or to the left, you've got to get over as far as you can. That accident was pretty scary for us to be a part of as administrators later on the morning after, just making sure that our deputy was okay. And of course, the other party that was involved in this is very scary for everybody. So please pay attention while you're driving as the weather warms up. And again, continue to lock your house and your vehicles and secure your belongings. And in this case, earlier in the month when we had a few of those theft from motor vehicles, you know, it's a crime of opportunity for folks. If you can hide some of your personal belongings, anything of value, get that stuff put away in the console. And again, as always, please continue to report any suspicious activity as you see it by calling 911, and we'll be there to answer the call. So thank you again for allowing me the opportunity.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Yep.
Any questions, Lieutenant Peters, tonight?
Well, I just want to say you guys are so impressive because I can't imagine how you can recognize somebody on a motorcycle that has a warrant. I'm like, how do they do that? Look at somebody and say, oh, I know that guy.
Yeah, you know, sometimes you put names to faces, you know, and when a lot of our folks that have been out here for a number of years, you start to see the same people, you know, over and over again. You just put a name to a face and you build that rapport, that relationship with that person. And, you know, ultimately, if there's something that they haven't answered for, you know, if they've got a criminal charge out there that they haven't answered for, and that deputy's familiar with them, a warrant will be issued for their arrest. And ultimately, if we can get that person in front of a judge and hold them accountable, that's what we're here for. So yes, 2 cases here this last month that I thought were interesting. That's just good police work and paying attention to the members of your community. So
Well, thank you for what you do.
thank you for saying so.
Any other questions? Any questions from the audience tonight? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you much.
Thank you.
Have a good evening. Our fire department report. Chief DeSharm.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Evening.
So this is April 2022 report, and for the fire department, it was a bit busy month with 81 calls. And of those calls, 58 were medicals, 6 were car crashes, 3 were fire alarms. We had 3 burning calls, illegal burnings. 6 fires, and they resulted in, those 6 were kind of a mixture of a deck fire and some wood chips on fire and grass fire and vehicle fires. And a couple mutual aid calls that we went to help our neighbors. We did have a variety of calls. They included some power lines down as the weather's changed and we've had some weather move through. I do want to say, Mayor and Council, that all of the sirens, weather sirens, that we have in the city are operational. And I want everybody to realize that it's not the city that sets those off. It's the county. And the county has certain criteria that they go through on wind speed and severity of storms when they set those off. I've had reports that one of the first storms go through that the weather sirens didn't go off. It wasn't because they weren't maintained or working. They were working. That was a decision at dispatch not to set those off. And we're having continued discussions with that staff to make sure that when the weather turns violent, those get turned on. Other than that, I want to take the opportunity to thank one of our district chiefs, Mark Pratcher, and you'll see his write-up in the consent agenda. He has retired after 21 years of service to the city. So thank you, Mark. I know he was a big help to myself, to the fire department, and to the city.
Okay.
Any questions?
Any questions for Chief tonight?
How's the grass fire situation looking with everything starting to green now?
A lot better. And I know it's frustrating for people, because they want to do their burning and get that done. But I keep talking about the 1 hour fuels. And that's why we always say in the springtime when that green stuff gets higher than the brown stuff, that's when the burning permits will be allowed again. Now the restrictions are off, so we can get burning permits, and you get those at City Hall. I want everybody to remember that the burning permits are from 6 p.m. until 8 a.m., the ones that we issue. And so that's overnight. If you want to burn during the day, you can talk to the Cambridge DNR, and they may or may not write a variance. Usually they're pretty good to work with, but we don't issue those. That has to come from the DNR.
And that's just for big fires, right? Not the
That's
3
right.
feet ones.
Yeah, we've there was no restrictions placed on recreational fires, and we remember what those are: 3 feet wide by 3 feet high. And if you're going to do that, maybe just let your neighbors know that you're going to have a recreational fire, because they may or may not want the smoke in their house.
Yeah. Any other questions for Chief? Any questions for our audience tonight? You're off easy.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Yep.
Yeah.
Have a good evening.
Have a good holiday coming up, and everybody be safe.
thank you.
Okay, item 4D.
Public hearing for off-sale liquor license for Wayne's Liquor. Staff is recommending that council conduct a public hearing regarding an off-sale liquor license for Moon's Liquor, Inc., as required by the East Bethel City Code, Article 3, Intoxicating Liquors, Section 655. For notification requirements, the public hearing for this date was published in the Anoka County Union. At the conclusion and close of the public hearing, council will be requested to consider the approval of an off-sale liquor license for Moon's Liquor, Inc., doing business as Wayne's Liquor, located at 21340 Aberdeen Street Northeast. The applicant is a new owner of the property, which previously held an identical license. All application materials, completed background checks, and fees have been submitted for the off-sale liquor license. Final approval of the license would be contingent on approval of the State Commissioner of Public Safety. Approval of the council is required prior to action by the state. Staff recommends conducting the public hearing to receive comments on the off-sale liquor license for Moon's Liquor, Inc., doing business as Wayne's Liquor. Once the public hearing is closed, and if there are no reasons to deny the license, staff recommends council consider approval of an off-sale liquor license for Moon's Liquor, Inc., doing business as Wayne's Liquor, locating at 21340 Aberdeen Street Northeast, East Bethel, Minnesota.
With that, we'll open a public hearing for off-sale liquor license at 21340 Aberdeen Street. Is there anyone here tonight wishing to speak to council regarding this matter? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve an off-sale liquor license for Moon's Liquor Incorporated, DBA Wayne's Liquor, located at 21340 Aberdeen Street Northeast, 55011.
Second.
Motion's made in second. Any discussion? Hearing none. To the motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. On to our consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'd like to pull item J, please.
Is there a second?
Oh, second.
Okay, motion made in second. Discussion.
I'd like to pull item J.
I'd like to pull item K.
And I'll pull item A.
I'm sorry, what letter?
A.
A? You're both pulling A. Okay. You had A too, Brian, right?
No, K.
K.
K as in cat or canoe.
Both
Caterpillar.
will start with a C.
I'm already confused enough, so. Okay, so item A, J, and K are pulled for discussion. Any further discussion? All right, to the motion on the remaining consent items, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. Suzanne, item A.
I got a comment from a resident regarding the gambling, the large amount that we return to the gambling entities, and I explained to them that it's a really good thing that we voted to lessen how much we're charging them in taxes and everything. So I just wanted everybody to understand that that is a really good thing, and because I'm sure if one resident has a question, more have questions, so I wanted to bring it up. But it's a good thing that we are returning money to nonprofits, and they're using that money for good causes in the community. So with that, I'll make a motion to approve item A in the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion made in second. Discussion. Hearing none. To the motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. Wanda, item J.
Item J, I'd like to pull item J, and on behalf of City Council and all of this in this room, I would like to thank Lieutenant Pratcher for all his years and service to the city. You will be greatly missed.
Yeah, 21 years is,
21 years is a long time.
it's a massive amount of dedication, and I was just graduating from high school when he became a firefighter.
Don't make him feel that old.
I want to also appreciate his dedication and professionalism and his service to our city. It's more than appreciated, and I know he went through a lot of, I don't know what the word is.
Angst.
Angst, and, you know, firefighting's not an easy thing, and he.
Yeah, Mark's a good leader. Definitely a good leader. Okay, any further discussion?
Nope, I will make a motion to approve item J.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. And then Brian, item K.
Item K, I will be abstaining from voting on this item.
I'll make a motion, pass item K. Is there a
I'll second it.
Motion made in second. Discussion. Hearing none. To the motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
And that motion passes. Okay, on to department reports.
Item 7G1, June work meeting. Our monthly work meeting is scheduled for Monday, June 6, 2022 at 7 p.m. The following items are recommended for discussion: a telecommuting policy, Laserfish document managed report, electrical inspection fee schedule. We have rental discussion on there that will not be ready until the July meeting, and the Cambia Hills escrow, or any other items as requested by council. Staff recommends that city council set the agenda items as presented for the June 6, 2022 work meeting.
Make a motion to set the agenda items for the June 6th work meeting with rental discussion being deleted from the agenda. Otherwise, items 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6.
I'll second it.
Motion made second, any discussion? Hearing none, to the motion, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Item G2.
2022 Ice Arena improvement projects. The city has completed annual improvements and/or major maintenance project at the Ice Arena during the 2011-2019 budget years. These projects included replacement of the dasher boards, sidewalks and stoops, furnace and exterior metal doors, painting the building exterior, repairing exterior wall water damage, and installing commercial front and rink entrance doors. Total expenditures for these works were over $150,000. No projects were done in the 2020-21 COVID years. St. Francis Youth Hockey Association has won $10,000 to contribute to upgrades for the arena. These monies came from a fundraiser held in March of 2022 for the purpose of donation to the city for arena improvements. The St. Francis Youth Hockey Association has said they would like to concentrate their work on renovations in the lobby. The following items in your packet are what they propose to complete, and these include installation of a bulletin board, banners. They propose to paint the lobby and buy the paint with volunteers to do the painting, buy table, chairs, and sets for the lobby for a subtotal of $3,700. They're also proposing to refinish the existing tile floor with a polished concrete floor. The total cost of that's approximately $9,400. They would have $6,300 to contribute to that, and they are requesting that the city put in $3,100 to complete that portion of their project. The lobby flooring upgrade is estimated, as stated, to cost approximately $9,400. It's in attachment 2, and there's photographs of what the sample floors could look like in attachments 3 and 4. The city has met with the St. Francis Youth Hockey Association and St. Francis High Schools, and all parties are in agreement that the following upgrades are the priorities for the arena. Number 1 is painting the interior walls of the arena, replacing fixtures, lights, partition, and paint the public restrooms, replace restroom partitions, refinish the lobby floor, and another one was to replace 1,000 square feet of rubber flooring in the rink area from the rink entrance doors to the players' bench. Included in that figure for the renovation or the upgrade of the bathrooms would also be the replacement of 2 hot water heaters, commercial hot water heaters, which were installed in the building in 1994. We replaced one approximately 4 years ago at a cost of about $10,000. This one could be done with the replacement of one heater. That would be a on-demand flow system with a recirculating pump, which would give us plenty of hot water for the showers, and also service the restrooms and the concession stand with on-demand hot water. Projects were also discussed for 2023, and the city staff will prepare a capital improvements program for 2023 projects and beyond. Capital improvement schedule will be prepared for these dates, and all projects on this schedule will be subject to funding availability from the Arena Enterprise budget and contributions from the St. Francis Youth Hockey Association. City upgrades for 2022 are estimated to cost $56,000. Expenditures of this amount would leave a fund balance in the arena account of $126,000, and was shown on the previous audit report. This would be $26,000 higher than the minimum balance recommended for this fund. It is recommended that this level of fund balance be maintained to cover any unanticipated costs for the refrigeration system or other commercial equipment repair and replacement. The city has verified that volunteer accident coverage is part of our insurance policy through the League of Minnesota Insurance Trust. This coverage would provide similar but more limited benefits than workman's comp to volunteers who could be injured in the course of donating their labor to the city. Arena budgets are derived exclusively from user fees. No city tax dollars would be used for this project. The following project options are proposed for consideration. Option 1, paint the interior walls of the arena, replace the fixtures in and renovate the public restrooms, and provide $3,100 in additional funding to refinish the lobby floor. This would be a total of $56,000 and includes $2,135 for contingencies. Option 2 would be the same as option 1, except it would add the addition of the 1,000 square feet of rubber flooring from the rink entrance doors to the players' bench at a cost of approximately $12,000. Staff requests City Council approve arena upgrades, option 1, in the amount of $5,600, including the repainting estimate that's included in your attachment.
I'll make a motion to approve arena upgrades, option 1, in the amount of $56,000 to include the additions that were just mentioned.
I'll second it.
Motion made, second, discussion.
So where does the $12,000 for the other flooring go? That's not in the 2023?
That would be in the 2023.
It's gonna be in the 2023 in addition to the locker room hallway and the 3 locker rooms?
That's correct.
Okay,
We would
and
be-
expand the lobby, okay, that would
Yes.
add into there,
Yes.
all right.
Jack, one of the things that was identified, at least through the walkthroughs, and perhaps we're doing this, but is the ceiling and the rafters.
That would be part of the painting cost. That would all be cleaned,
Okay,
pressure washed. The rafters, after they're pressure washed, we could make a determination then if they did need painting.
Okay.
That painting cost would be done, proposed to be done in 2023.
okay. And then they'll patch the ceiling at the same time, all the holes?
That's correct. We'll get the ceiling patched where there's those
Okay,
puck
okay.
marks on them.
Because that was pretty
Obvious.
obvious aesthetic, and it wasn't listed. Well, we can't paint everything else and leave the dirt, so. Okay, any other discussion? I just want to say that it's incredibly impressive how the St. Francis Youth Hockey Association not only kind of spearhead and brought this attention, these ideas or problems to us, this attention, but went ahead and did the fundraiser to really help contribute to this, and that's I mean, it's not just the money that they raise, it's the fact that you have all these residents in the community are working together to help improve a facility, one of our facilities that they use. So it's very thankful, so.
And it came with solutions, which was really helpful.
Yes, that we worked, city and them worked together very well to come together.
This is reminiscent of that 2016 era when we worked together with them on the other major projects of replacing the dasher boards.
Yes,
And when both groups work together, that's when we can see real improvements in the
and that was
arena.
a tougher deal, I remember that.
Yeah.
But that really worked out well for everyone, so. Any other discussion? Hearing none, to the motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Item 7G3.
Animal Humane Society impound contract and letter of understanding. The city received notification from North Metro Animal Care and Control that they are closing effective June 1st, 2022, and will no longer be able to serve their clients. North Metro Animal Care and Control has provided animal control and impound services to the city of East Bethel since November of 2021. As a result of the discontinuation of this service, council directed staff to prepare a request for proposals for animal control services for discussion at the April 25th, 2022 City Council meeting. That RFP is included as an attachment 3. Council approved and directed the advertisement be placed on the League of Minnesota Cities website, the City of East Bethel website, eastbetheljobs.com, Cable Channel 10, and in the Anoka Union Herald and the Minneapolis Star Tribune. The date for submission for RFPs was May 16th, 2022. No proposals were received by the deadline date and none after that date. As there were no responses to the request, staff is proposing that the city contract with the Animal Humane Society facility in Coon Rapids for impound service and utilize our Anoka County Sheriff's Office contracted law enforcement personnel for animal transport to their kennel. The location of the Coon Rapids Animal Humane Society kennel is 1411 Main Street, Northwest, Coon Rapids, Minnesota, which is on Main Street about a block east of the intersection with Hanson. It's approximately 16 miles from City Hall to this kennel facility. According to the proposed letter of understanding that the Animal Humane Society has provided the city would provide the following fees for each animal impounded from the city. There would be a $208 hold fee per canine or feline and a $48 fee for other accepted domestic animals not reclaimed by the owner. Animal Humane Society will charge the city a mandated quarantine fee of $416 per canine or feline that is held for quarantine or other holding period lasting more than 5 days, independent of who claims the animal after that hold. Animal Humane Society will charge a $24 administrative processing fee to the city for each animal reclaimed by its owner in place of the standard fee. In these instances, Animal Humane Society will charge the owner the additional reclaim fees. Animal Humane Society will charge a $24 administrative processing fee for disposal of any cadavers brought to the Animal Humane Society facility by a representative of the facility. Also attached in your packet are the contract pricing we currently have with North Metro Animal Control. Animal Humane Society cost will be approximately double what residents would currently pay to reclaim an animal that's impounded. With that in consideration and the fact that there's no other current options available at this time to the city, staff requests that City Council consider approval of the impound service contract with the Animal Humane Society as attached in your packet.
Is there a motion on this matter tonight?
I'll make a motion to approve the impound service contract with the Animal Humane Society.
I'll second it.
Motion made, second, discussion.
I have a question. Is there a cancellation policy
Either party can cancel with a 30-day notice
without any
without any penalties.
penalties? Because if by some chance we find somebody, because this is definitely not ideal. This is not a good option in my mind, but we have no choice from what I can see.
Have we found out what the other cities that were involved are doing?
Animal Humane Society.
Everybody's going to the
Everybody's
Animal
going to
Humane
them.
Society. That's what I was afraid of.
There was another service we actually reached out and contacted too. One of them said they weren't really in the business, but there was another one called Companion Animal Control. They're actually located in Hudson, Wisconsin, and they do some work in Washington County. We contacted them. They said they had been besieged with new requests for clients and they couldn't come up this far. We also had a call from the, it's called, I forget what the name of the kennel is now, but they do the animal control for Isani County, but they're located in Ogilvie, 5 miles west of Ogilvie. It's a 45-mile, 55-minute drive to their facilities. They did call and ask for information, but then they called back and said they couldn't provide the service. So these services and people that provide this are few and far between. So I think right now, as Suzanne said, our really only option currently is to work with the Humane Society, and then hopefully something else will materialize, or this service could be offered by another firm at some point.
What happens if the animals get picked up when the Humane Society is closed?
The deputies will be given keys to the facility, so they will take them there. They can unlock it, put it in there, and leave the report there for them to process.
Okay.
And currently, we're working with Lieutenant Peters. We're going to get all the badge numbers if this is approved. badge numbers and the names of all the deputies will have access to that. So there'll be a set of keys in the Public Works building, we'll have a set of keys, and probably each deputy will have a set of keys.
Okay.
So if I understand this agreement right, the Animal Humane Societies, they're not gonna collect any fees from the animal owners when they claim the animals.
They will. If the animal owner claims the animal owner will be charged and the city will not be billed,
Except for the $24.
except for the $24 administrative fee.
Yeah.
Well, there's a clause in this agreement that says AHS is not responsible for collecting any fees from an owner for a municipality. And the fee structure is, the way I read it, they're just charging the city all these, you know, all these various charges look like they're charging the city and not the actual animal owner.
I discussed this with the director there and was told that any time that the owner picked the animal up and paid for it, that is not billed to the city.
What clause are you looking at, Steve?
I just don't read it that way in here.
Are you reading the contract portion of it? Which number is that, Steve?
Well, so it is on page 65 of our packet. Item,
The red line ones.
right, I'm looking at the red line, yeah.
Okay.
So item 2, D. AHS is not responsible for collecting any fees from an owner for a municipality. And then when it talks about charging fees, it's charging fees to the city. This agreement doesn't say anything about charging fees to the owner of the dog. At least I'm not seeing it. Chris, did you have an opportunity to review this?
I have reviewed this. I'm looking at that clause again now.
What about, on page 65, item E, triple I, it'll charge $24 administrative to the city for each animal reclaimed by the owner in place of the standard fee.
Well, an item right above it says AHS will charge city mandated quarantine fee of $4.16.
You know, that's on a mandated quarantine. That would be for 10 days. After 10 days, the animal becomes property of the Animal Humane Society. So that's the way that was explained to me, that at that time, the dog could no longer be claimed by the owner unless they could work something out. And if they worked something out, then there would be no charge to the city. But generally, they said any dog that goes past the 10-day hold is not claimed by the owner.
Yeah, I thought, Mr. Mayor and Council, is this addressed by 3E or E3? AHS will charge a $24 administrative processing fee to the city for each animal reclaimed by its owner in place of the standard fee. In these instances, AHS will charge the owner the additional reclaim fees.
Okay, so you don't think those fees aren't passed on to us then? That one statement in 2D seems to contradict it, that's all.
I could possibly see it being interpreted as the humane, if a city has charges on top of the Humane Society's charges for animal control, then the Humane Society will not collect any fees from an owner for a city.
That's kind of how I read it, like the $24 administrative fee, the Humane Society is not gonna collect that and reimburse it to the city.
No.
That's the way I read it, or interpreted it.
You know, that'll be billed straight to us, that won't
Yeah.
go to the owner. Now, if we want to collect some of those fees, then our only recourse then would be probably to turn it over to collection agency,
Small.
if they didn't pay it voluntarily on a bill.
Okay,
Are we gonna try and collect the $24 if,
I'm not worried about that.
That's just, I wouldn't,
I've never
No,
thought about
no.
doing it.
We don't have a mechanism for it, so.
no, the only way, you know, I don't, you know, who would turn the $24 over to collection agent? We might send them a bill, but I mean, if it wasn't paid, then,
So I'll just ask it this way, because I can't read it in his contract, so if sheriff picks up a dog, goes, you know, a stray dog, goes to Animal Humane Society, owner comes and claims it, nothing gets charged to the city other than the $24 administrative fee,
correct.
unless the dog is unclaimed.
Unless the
If
dog
it's
is,
unclaimed, then it's our cost.
that's correct.
Okay.
And that's a big cost.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's how it was anyway.
$416.
That's-
Well, you know, if you look on North Metro's contract, it's $45 for the first day, and then $25 for the next 6 days up to 7 days. So that's what, $195 versus, it's about double what the cost is.
Well, and I think
But-
the Humane Society also has a mechanism in place to really try and find these owners. You know, between the microchips and the phone calls and their volunteers, they really try and find their owners.
They do, and they probably have a lot more overhead than what our previous contractors had. You know, here's a picture of their facility. They have much more staff, and I'm not sure where all their revenues come from, but I'm sure that
Adopting out animals.
their costs are much higher than their previous
Oh, yeah.
contractors.
And not to be worried about it, but how many communities are gonna go to Humane Society now? 6?
Well, Oak Grove is in the process of working with them.
Well, I guess, I mean, whatever the number is, there's all these facilities now are gonna be
Yes,
relying on the Humane Society, and I know their staff is already
Yeah.
kinda taxed too, so hopefully it doesn't become a bigger issue, but,
And they don't have much space
They don't.
left over.
yeah, that's, I mean, they have a lot of animals now,
Yeah.
so. Okay. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, to the motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. On the staff report.
The first thing I'd like to mention is that the Booster West Trail paving has been completed. There's still some work to do with some landscaping and backfilling around the edges of the trail, but that's completed and can be walked on now. It's a nice addition to both parks, increases our walking distance by almost double what we had around the pond. And also, the county notified us today that 221st Avenue will be closed from Wednesday morning until Friday afternoon between the intersection with Highway 65 and Van Buren Street. When they're doing the overlay project, they found a sinkhole that developed on the two drain pipes where Cedar Creek crosses under the road. So they'll be doing that repair during those 2 days. So Wednesday morning to Thursday afternoon this week, 221st will be closed to through traffic. The bypass will be south on 65, Sims, then up to University, and then 13 on, or 221st and on west.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay, council reports, Suzanne.
Okay, I went to the Blaine Airport meeting, and I did get selected as the co-chair, so it's 2 of us on there, anyways. But Chris Webb of Minnesota Helicopters, he was our user speaker. We have, each time we have a meeting, one of the users speaks and explains how they utilize the airport. I do see a lot of posts on Nextdoor and East Bethel community pages and other pages about, why is this helicopter flying low? I think people are scared that their privacy is being invaded, and it's not so, but you can go on their website and see live flight tracker and click on the plane and it explains exactly what it's for. The only thing that might not be on there is if it's a medical, because that wouldn't have enough time to get uploaded right away. But other than that, it's very fascinating. I really enjoy it. So that's all I have on that right now.
Okay, Wanda,
I don't have anything.
Brian,
I don't have anything but to say, have a happy and safe Memorial Day weekend. And thank you to all our veterans, everybody that's currently in the military, and everyone who's no longer with us that served to help keep our nation as an American experiment, as one called it. So thank you to all of our veterans.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just have a question. Our city reader board sign was damaged, I assume, in the winds last week. Is there plans to fix that?
I haven't been notified of that. Is it not functioning, or what's the
Oh,
problem?
no, on the south side, all the letters are gone.
Okay,
Oh, the East Bethel letters are
The
gone?
city of East Bethel, all the
Really?
letters, yeah. I'm looking at it, is that really how it is? And I look at the other side, and they're all green. Is that,
Oh.
okay, so,
I never even noticed.
unless I'm seeing things. I only looked at it once, I thought, that is gone. You know.
I'll have that checked out tomorrow.
Okay, that's all I got. With that, Mr. Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For the benefit of the public and the record, the City Council for the City of East Bethel will now vote to go into closed session pursuant to Minnesota Statute 13D.03 Subdivision 1. At this time, the council will be considering strategies for labor negotiations and updates regarding ongoing labor negotiation discussions and proposals. After the closed session is held, the council will come back into open session at that time. The closed session will be recorded as required by statute, and that recording will be maintained for the statutorily required period of time. With that, Mr. Mayor, a motion can be made to go into closed session.
Make a motion, go into closed session for the purposes that the city attorney has indicated.
I'll
Second.
Motion made second, discussion. Hearing none, to the motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. We shall return.
Have a good weekend, everybody.
Oh, bye-bye now?
Yeah. Oh, they.
I thought you were dedicated. You good, Jack? Okay, Mr. Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For the benefit of the public and the record, the City Council for the City of East Bethel met in closed session pursuant to Minnesota Statute 13D.03 to discuss labor negotiation strategies and negotiation updates. That meeting has been held, and with that, the council is returned to open session.
With that, entertain a motion.
I'll make
to
a
adjourn.
motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made in second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes, it means adjourned. Thank you, everyone.